So A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. And we were just distinguishing this verse here, Surah 24, verse 41, which we kind of missed last week, that mentions Salah and Tasbih together, but distinguished. Okay, so very, very important between this. And we got that. So it's very important so you guys remember this and the trick right now. So 24:41. What's the trick here? So remember the Salah and Tasbih in this verse. So let's just quickly go over it. Alam tara anna Allah yusabbihu lahu man fi samawati wal ard wa tayr safat. So very awesome verse. That don't you see that Allah everything glorifies to Allah in the heavens and the earth, and the birds with the wings spread. So very important analogy with the birds with their wings, safat. So really, really beautiful. So each one, kullun qad alima salata. So each one knows its salah, wa tasbiha. So this is interesting. So the one, Allah saying that even birds have a salah. So something is very special with birds. And you can see, I notice a lot wusta. I don't know about you guys, but if you go outside and see them doing the little group together, boom, boom, boom. So very important, but that this is not saying everyone. This is just the birds and obviously us, but the birds are blessed with their own salah. So they know their salah, wa tasbihahu, their tasbih. So they know theirs. So meaning so birds are special. And we can see that when we get to Dawood, Sulaiman, they glorify with so they're aware. And in the Kaaba, like if you ever see the tawaf and during Hajj, you will see birds are there too, out of all the animals, right? So they do the tawaf. They're on top like a circle ring. It's everyone I've known have said that been to a Hajj. If you know others, ask them the same question so you can prove it. Like, bro, is there birds above you? Like, yeah, man, there's birds flying on top of us doing tawaf. Like, how incredible is that, right? This one we distinguish the time frames.
Yeah.
And guys, for you guys to remember 24:41, there's like a mirror 4 here like that. 20 like 24 and then 41. How could you remember 41? 41 is a prime number, so that means it's unique. It can only be divisible by itself in 1. It's very rare. It goes 4 plus 1 is 5. Sunnis do 5 salah, right? And they do salah and tasbih mixed together. Their salah and tasbih, that's why they do 5 prayers, because they kind of mix their glorification and prayer together. And this verse kind of shows that they're mentioned. So that's a really cool way to put a story to this. It's a story. 24 nur, okay, it's in the light, and we do tasbih and salah during the night, the light phases. But obviously salah, there's a night phase and somewhat dark, mixer of dark and night phase, right? So Isha and Fajr is like a mix transition. So Surah Nur. But yeah, 24:41. Very awesome verse. This is the one verse. So only one that Salah and Tasbih are mentioned together but distinguished. Okay, meaning they're separate. Okay. Alright. Let's do this. So we're gonna start with wudu. These are the 2 spots in the Quran. Now let's look at the tricks to memorize these, okay? This one is the main one though, okay? So this is the main wudu verse. And this one is the exception, rules plus other rules. Okay, very important. So we're gonna first go through 5, 6, because you'll understand why, and then we have to go through this one. But just before we do that, we have to remember, how do we memorize this? Okay, well, so I'm gonna first, like always, tell you my tricks that I do. First is there's a sequence, and one thing I forgot to mention here is association plus patterns. Okay, you want to look for pattern recognition. Okay, patterns. So here you have a sequence. So 5, 6. It follows each other. You know what I mean? 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's a sequence. So that's easy. Like 5, one after the other. And in here, there's instructions. There's 1, step, then the next step, then the next step. So let's go to that verse, big verse, and we're gonna go through it because it's a very big important verse. First key thing to know, the word salah is directly mentioned, so that's how we know. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha qumtum ila salah. So yeah, so all you who have believed, when you are standing or have stood for salah, this is the first thing. So wash. So right away, this is the one huge word. Okay, I'm gonna open another one on the side. The first word Allah uses, faghlisu. This one word here, okay, is the verb ghusul, okay, or ghasala. And it's very important. So it's like it's not wipe, okay, as we're gonna see later on, to imsahu. So the verb to wipe, big difference. So what does the wash mean? Like literally, you have to pour water on you, not take a little bit and just rub your arm. You have to literally pour the water, okay? So very important, the verb to wash, and you're gonna see why I'm putting so much emphasis here later on. Okay, your faces, wujuhakum, very important. So you have one step, wa aydiyakum, so two steps, so one after the other, so 5, 6. I don't know if you get my logic here, the 5, 6, one after the other. Ilal marafiq. Okay, so to your elbow. So what is it saying? So you have to constantly wash. Okay, I can't select this properly, so I'm selecting this one. So wash face and your hands to your, so all that needs to be poured out, like properly washed. First logical question comes, like, because we have to address the Sunnis, right? So the washing. So the typical thing Sunnis go, oh, you have to do it 3 times. You know, the typical 3 times. First of all, the wording is not there. So, but that doesn't mean you can't do it 3 times. You can do it or do it more. But there is an interesting logic, right? So the idea of washing is, and there's a reason why there's no numbers here, because let's say your hands are dirty. It's very important. That means you could do 3 or 5 or 7 or 1 or whatever. But what the problem is to say you have to do 3 minimum. That is the problem, because wait, why do you have to do 3? Where does it say that? That's a different that is the problem. Other than that, if you're wanting to do 3, 5, very important to know that argument, what I just said, because that is what happens when you get to this question. If you get here, and normally you discuss this with your family or people that don't know. This is a very rare conversation I've ever seen. I never get any issues on this on Salah. Really, never, nobody argues about this. They're like, bro, this is so obvious, and it's actually written in the Quran. They're actually impressed, and they never debate this. So far, like out of the 7, 10, I don't know how many years now, this is the least amount of problem that we have in the Quran about Salah. But we have the answer. That is huge, okay? And then, actually, let's just continue this way. And then, so first wash, and then wipe. Okay, wamsahu. Okay, wipe your head. So head and face, clear distinction. Okay, between the two. Let me make this smaller, maybe. Okay, clear distinction between the two. And obviously, we know what a head is, right? It's the top of your head where your hair is, right? بِرُؤُسِهِمْ بِرُؤِسِكُمْ. So your heads. So basically, you take the water, you drop it. Your hand is wet, right? That wet hand that you have, you wipe, right, your head with it, and your feet. So you wash your hand, you wipe your feet till the both of, and this is in dual, okay? So vein. So you have both of your ankles. So you feel the ankle. But so far you guys are good, right, on this part. But so wiping your feet,
Yes.
washing your faces and your hands. Okay, good.
Yeah,
So
5,
till
6.
the elbows. So one more, there's a ilal marafiq. So to your elbows, ilal marafiq, and then ilal ka'bain. So there's this connection between these ends. Okay, interesting. And what's nice about this word al ka'bain is connected to the word Kaaba, right? So the Kaaba, so the same word, same.
Still
This
there.
is a very in a battle context. Like you break the person's ankle, you break this, the person can't walk. This is the most weakest place right here. This is the
Oh.
spot, right? But remember, this is they call it, the, what's that, Achilles heels or something, like. So this is the talon that he's saying, the heel, but it's actually right up to here. Boom. That's it. Okay,
Yeah.
very simple. Okay, now this is, so the first thing is, uh there are, so 4 steps. So wash faces,
Faces.
and hands till elbows. So you have this. So wash faces. So let's go back here. Okay, wash faces and hands. Okay, so we're gonna keep that back. So one. So this is, let's just say, 1 and 2. Okay, like that. And here's gonna be 3. So wipe. Okay, so this keywords, right? So this is wash, and wipe. Head. Okay, head and feet till ankles. Okay, so this is going to be 4. So 4 steps. Very important. So the question would be, how many steps are there in your wudu? 4.
4.
Simple as that. But divided into 2. One, and very important distinction, one is washing, one is wiping. You have to know that. Okay? And these are the places that your body is touching the floor. And sujda, right? So exactly, right? Remember, if you're like dirty, completely like, stinky coming from work or whatever it could be, gym, this and that, and you smell whatever, take a shower. This is symbolic, okay? This is very symbolic. This is commanded by Allah, right? These are what I mean by symbolic, like in the sense of like you cannot do salah without this, okay? These steps, okay? These have to be done like this. And most importantly, if you're like super dirty, like I don't know if you do like what kind of walking job, I don't know, something that you walk a lot and your foot stinks. Okay, let's just say you have like dirty, like 10 hour a day you've been walking. I don't know, something like that, and you're like that because not everybody does this, right? But there's people like that, and your foot smells. Like before you do your wudu, like clean your feet, like properly, because when you're gonna go there and touch your feet here, your hands are gonna stink. Obviously, it's not like rocket science, right? This is, and hold on, you know what? We're gonna see something right now. We're gonna see let's just see the exception rules. But before we get to that, it's just important to understand that this is like a holy thing to do, like sacred thing. You're and we're gonna see the purposes, right? You're standing before Allah. You're clean, and we're gonna see some of that stuff with Musa, right? Allah sees Musa. First thing Allah is telling Musa before glorifying himself, take off your sandals.
True, true,
You're
true.
in a holy place of Tuwa. You're in this holy place. Take off your sandals. Why? Your sandals are dirty. You're in a clean place. So the idea of being clean in Allah is huge. It's not taking like, you're just a bit dirty, come and say, no, 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 no. God doesn't like dirty. He's gonna purify us in the akhirah and all that. Cleaning is it's a huge thing. Okay? So when you're doing your wudu, you should be already like, you should be clean already. God, like you can tell Allah, inna Allah yuhibbul mutahhirin. Allah loves those who are clean, who purify themselves, who cleanse themselves, right? So you should be already somewhat clean. You're coming in front of God. Like think about it. If you're gonna go to an interview and you're gonna go meet, not even interview, you're gonna go meet the president or something, someone huge, someone's really special or very beautiful woman. Are you really gonna go dress bad, smell bad? This, of course not, right? Common sense. If somebody says yes, I will. Do you have an issue?
Yes,
you
I
will
will.
you will 100% do that, guys. We're in front of Allah. Huge difference. It's not even comparable, right? He sees me. I always put a specific dress when I do my salah. I have a special way to be. I have to always have that. It's always gonna be washed by cleaned by my wife and all this and that. And the one I wear is the one I love the most. But I have a lot of them. But I just like this one I wear. But I always put something on that prayer time. We're gonna see that. But the point is not that. The point is, are you realizing who you're standing in front of? And we're gonna see in the purposes that on the day of judgment we're standing before, practicing before Allah, this and that, right? So we're gonna talk about all that again today. But this is the clean thing. So remember, Musa, take off your sandals. Imagine you're in front of Allah, the only person that gets to hear Allah talk like this, and the first thing is like, take off your sandal, and Allah is talking like this. So that tells you right away, God is extremely peculiar when it comes to being clean. And just the fact that he says take off your sandals is pretty deep. Like, why did he just, bro? God is looking at how you are, how you're dressed, how everything. You think God designed us? Come on. Okay, so think about that. So this, when I say symbolic, I don't mean like just for show. Not symbolic in that sense. Like symbolic in like this has extremely high value. This is extremely precious instructions, and make sure that you're already somewhat clean, and you're just doing now you're even more clean by doing this in front of Allah. And now let's see what I mean. We're gonna see as we continue. So wa in kuntum junuba, okay, junuban. So now, and if you basically have an orgasm, so now you are unclean, okay? You are unclean, is what Allah is saying here. So in a state of ceremonial impurity. This is like the most professional way to say you have ejaculated or you had an orgasm in English. So this applies to women and men, but this is the most professional way to say it. But what this is actually saying in English and in Arabic, junuban, but junub can mean many other things depending on context, like on your sides and so on. But in this context, it is clear what it means. That means you have had an orgasm or a wet dream or whatever in those kind of contexts. So let's be very realistic. For a guy, sperm has been ejaculated. Okay, we don't need to hide, we don't need to be shy about this topic. This is very obvious, and this is not a sin depending on how it's done. It is a sin if you're doing zina and whatever and all that. That's a completely different subject. But the point is, that is what it's saying here. What does Allah say? Fatahharu. This is the verb tahara, to clean yourself, purify yourself. So the idea to be clean, and form 5. Okay, so fatahharu. So that's why it's doubled here. So you wash your. So the question is, what does this mean? And we're gonna see the answer of this in Surah 4, verse 43 very soon. Okay, we're gonna come back to this. This is, guys, this is actually the most important part we're coming to. This first part is the easy part, the instruction of what we should do. We all agree, move on. Okay, we should. This is not a no-brainer. This everyone knows it. This is where it gets debatable. This is where you're gonna get a lot of questions, and even maybe you guys right now need the answers. Oh, what happens if I do this? Can I do my salah? Or do I break my salah? Do I do it? Trust me, guys, this right here is huge to understand this. So they're gonna be like, what does this mean? Fatahharu. What do you mean by that? Well, let's see. Okay, remember, we're coming back to this word. Okay, that's one. So if you ejaculated, or if you're a woman, so don't think it's only guys. Women can do this. We're not women, but think outside the box. They can have orgasms. Same thing for them. Okay, it doesn't have a special liquid or something like that like we do, but there is some other stuff that does excrete, that comes out. Okay, women do have this. They have the rights to do it too, and there's certain conditional ways. Okay, we have to be realistic. Okay, but we'll come back to this. Okay, so that's that one exception rule. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go like this. Exceptions or conditions. Boom, like this. Boom, and we go orgasm, male/female, purify yourself, meaning equals 443. All that, you guys are going to understand this very soon, what I just wrote here. That's the first condition, exception. Second, this is a very huge one. Okay, and ironically, I have another person that I'm talking about literally about this right now, and I'll explain all that soon. Okay, well, in kuntum marda. Okay, so if you're ill, so then there's ill, sick. Okay, ill, sick, just so that others can understand that. Aw ala safar. Okay, you are on a journey. So, or journey. What happens? Okay, and or ja. Okay, so someone has came to you. Ahadun minkum minal ghair. This is very important. Okay, so somebody came out of the toilet, huge one, or came. Let's just write came out of toilet. Okay, and this is a big word. Putting a little thing here, a little asterisk. Let's put a let's go like that. Or okay, lamasta. Oh, this bro, this is gonna get deep right now. I didn't think it was gonna get this deep, but okay. Let's bring out one more level in like that is another one. Or this is a very important word. La mastum nisa. Okay, this is a very interesting word. So you have touch, contact. This could be both sexual or not, or contact, so touch, or to have contact. Woman. Okay, very interesting. Okay, this is deep, and I'm going to explain all this very soon. This could be, sorry, hair contact woman, sexual or not. Okay, it's both. Okay, and what does it say? And did not and then cannot find water. Tayammamu, very famous word. Tayammamu. Then do tayammam. This is what. So what is tayammamu? Okay, it's very important to know this word because all Sunnis know this word. Let's just use this one. Exactly. So here for all these, boom, tayammum. Okay, so when I say tayammum, you should automatically know what that means. Meaning, this is a common word. Okay, so it is you take soil and you rub your face and hands only. So let's just go here. You take soil, sa'ida, so soil, earth, tayyiba, clean. So clean soil. Let's just write clean soil so that you understand. Okay, clean soil. And what do? Same thing as your head and your feet. Okay, same verb. Fa'amsahu. Exactly what B. Wujuhihikum. So your faces and your hands. Minhu. With it. Very simple. So what do? What does that mean? So let's say you can't find water. So let's go here. So boom, boom, boom. This occurs. Can't, and I'm gonna put it like this. Can't find water. Very important. Then tayammum, clean soil, and what do? You rub/wipe faces and hands only. Okay, very simple. Okay, let's keep it simple with minhu. Okay, from the soil, clean soil. Okay, ma yuridullah. Allah does not want li yaj'ala alaykum min haraj. So Allah does not want any hardship for you guys, all of us. Alhamdulillah. Walakin yuridu. However, Allah wants to liyutahhirakum. Like I was saying, Allah wants to purify us. This whole point of this, like I was saying from the beginning, it's all about being super clean. Why? Because Allah loves clean. Clean, clean, clean. Like our body's clean. Okay? We have a clean body. We're conscious of our hands are clean. Wash your hands. Wash this. Be clean. So Allah wants this. Yuridu. Allah wants this. Okay? Allah wants us to be clean. Huge. Okay? وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. And He wants to perfect His ni'mah, His favor, His appreciation, and so forth upon us by being clean. Alaykum. And here's the reason. And this is super huge. And this is going to answer what you said. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Okay, so that you are grateful. You say thanks. So after you're done your wudu, okay, even though the word wudu was never mentioned this whole time, but we're using a word for this. So ablution. At the end, you say Alhamdulillah, what you just said, like you are being appreciated, right? Alhamdulillah, like you said, but also say thank you, Allah, for teaching me how to be clean. It's a simple thing you can add.
I see.
You want to be thankful to Allah because why are we doing all of this? And we didn't even know about all of this until Allah taught us this here in the beginning.
It's a purification tool.
And this is all for Salah. Right? So this is the whole point is for Salah. But Allah wants us to be clean and He wants us to be grateful. He wants us to say thank you for teaching us this knowledge. And if just to end this, we have to go to the next because it says here, وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. So the purpose is to perfect His ni'mah upon you. What is this perfection here? The next verse explains it. Ni'matullah. What is this favor upon us? Remember the favor upon you? Alaykum. Thaqahu. And His covenant. Alladhi wathaqakum. That He has binded you, or he has taken this oath with you, with it. What is, and we're gonna get, what is that oath? إذ قلتم سمعنا, we said we heard Allah, we heard, وأطعنا, and we obeyed. واتقوا الله إن الله عليم بذات الصدور. So we have, or if you haven't, you should say, Allah, we heard and we obeyed. But this famous sentence, okay, so this is verse 7, okay? Allah's giving us this because of very smart of me. It's in Surah Baqarah, before the last verse. So the last verse is 286. So before that verse is 85, okay? Very important. Amana Rasul. Okay, let's just go to the famous, exactly. Amana Rasul. Okay, so the messenger has believed bima unzila ilayhi min rabbih, what has been revealed to him from his Lord. Wal mu'minun, that is us. Okay, that includes this is not past, present, future. This is all time, obviously. Kullun, each one of us, all of them. The Rasul, us believers. Amana billah, we believed in Allah. Wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi, and his books. Okay, in plural, huge, huge. Okay, wa kutubihi wa rusuli, in plural, messengers. We make no division. Okay, division, not distinction, division. La nufarriqu bayna ahadin min rusuli. And this is where it comes from, the original. Qalu, okay, they said sami'na wa ata'na. So we have to, you guys should all say this verse. Anyone who's read the Quran you should have read this, and then you have to say it. Okay, ghufranaka rabbana wa ilayka al-masir. We hear what? What did we hear? The words of Allah. We're hearing this. We are obeying this. Not we're obeying 90%. No, we obey all. Okay, and that is further elaborated in Surah 3, verse 7, that I think all of you also know very well. Okay, you know the famous verse where you don't the mutashabihat verses and the muhkamat verses, the verse there are on, you know, the verses that are precise, or muhkamat, and the very famous, I know you guys all know this, but what does the rasikhuna fil ilm, those who are well founded in knowledge, they say amana bih kullun min indi rabbina, everything is from Allah. We don't say, oh no, there's this one tiny verse that I don't really agree. No, I don't. You don't believe in Allah. You're not us. We believe in absolutely every little punch. Everything is from Allah, and everything is a gift from Allah, right? وَمَا يَدَّكَّرُونَ, and no one's gonna remember this illa, except the highly intelligent ones. Okay, ulul albab, the ones that are well founded in intellect. Okay, so it's very important. So I know we kind of jumped off stuff, but it's very important to know all what I just said, and everything I just said here. We're gonna just quickly go over some points that are very hard, and or somewhat hard. Okay, so 5 verse 6 has this, and let's go back here. Now let's go boom, 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 and the purpose is to be pure / clean, which is what Allah wants. Okay, and perfect Allah's ni'mah, let's say favor, okay, plus which we're gonna see that exactly, this is the mithaq, okay, this right here, this one, and to say thank you Allah. Huge stuff. Okay, this is the purpose of doing the wudu. Okay, so to be clean, obviously, perfect Allah's favor. And what is this one is mithaq. The mithaq, okay, the covenant that we have, which is we hear.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
We obey. All Allah words. Keep it something simple, okay? You guys know what I'm saying here, okay? So this was 5 verse 7 equals 2. This is not like that. Go like this, stack 2. So guys, so what do you guys have to know? Obviously what I'm doing right here, but in simple terms, one verse, 5 verse 6, but it's filled with knowledge, right? Filled with knowledge. So I'll be like, what are the main steps? Easy answer. You guys should all know that. So that's not hard. What's hard is here. What are the exceptions? That's what makes you the person that they want to talk to, right? You know what can you not do? You know, like what you should like. I was sick. Okay, it's fine. You're sick. You have been exempted from doing salah. It's fine. You're sick. You're ill. You're on a journey. You know, very easy stuff. Okay, and you came out of the toilet. What does this mean? Thank you for correcting that. Sorry. Thank you. Big correction, guys. Yeah, from like you're sick from doing the wudu. Okay, exactly. Exactly. So this is the one that's very important. What does that mean? So coming out of toilet, what does that mean? Peeing, right? Obviously, that's one. Taking number two, you know, pooping, right? Obviously, that's coming out of the that's part of the ghaith. What else does people do in the bathroom? Farting. Now you can say, well, I don't fart. I don't fart just in the bathroom. I could walk outside, and you are guaranteed to do it here if you're doing a number two, right? If you're gonna poop, you're gonna fart. When this happens, you redo your wudu. Whatever's in the ghaith, okay, in that so hold on, let's just go. So after we done the ka'bayn, and now if you are in these situations, junuba, okay, and then you have to clean yourself, okay, so and what? So you have to do this washing yourself, okay, wash yourself for this state. But and if you are look how Allah wrote this, okay, if you are sick or if you are on a journey or if you or any of you one of you came out of the toilets or was related to that world, like I just explained, or this one that we're gonna talk about on the woman, because the wudu was all about water, right? So this means you can still you have to, but Allah, the way Allah wrote it is so cool that it shows that you still have to do your wudu. That's fine, but I already it should be common sense. But what happens if you don't find water?
Yeah.
It's like a cool way of saying, look, you still have to do your wudu. This if you have all this, you do your wudu, but if you can't find water, you do this in all those situations. Okay, now we're gonna get to. So let's just clarify what are the conditions here on the ga'it, al-ga'it. Okay, so there's urination. Let's use proper word, urination. Then there's defecation. Defecation. That's how you say poop. Okay, properly. And I forgot how to say fart. Gas. Let's use gas. So this one is the most debated. Gas, farting. Yeah. This is a typical question. This is where you need the hadith to explain. No, you don't. You don't need none of that. You have the Quran, and it's very logical. Like whatever comes out of the toilet. Yeah, so it's obvious. So it's obvious when you realize, bro, what is happening in the bath? Do you do that or not? Yes, I do it. It's like, is it no? You have to. It happens, and it guarantees to happen if you're gonna do this one. Okay, let's just talk about this one. This is a big one. Okay, or touch or to have contact. La mastum an-nisa. Okay, the woman. This is a huge one. I had a lot of debates with my mom and my wife on this one. Okay, a lot. When we are doing Juma in my house, and there's my mom and my wife are there, so they're the women's, right? We don't touch each other, the skin ever, because we have to understand a woman and a man. We have we're different, right? Even our electrical pulse, everything. There's a different. The women are softer, gentle, weak, very different. If you can literally get turned on by touching a woman, if you're like really, restraining, and all that. It's very important. So now my wife and my mom were telling me you're way too extreme, but me personally, how I see it is that when you done your wudu, okay, when you do these steps, okay, like I said, it's this symbolic. You're in a holy state right now. Once you have accomplished this, you are right now, like remember these 4 steps properly, like this. You are now permissible to be in contact with Allah, right? It's very important. If you don't have this, you are not permissible to be in contact with Allah. Does that mean Allah's not going to listen to you? Of course not. Allah's everywhere. So now in the salat perspective, if Allah's saying that this woman, don't touch her, because she's in her own electrical world, there's things you don't see. You are visually something different in Allah's eyes. Even if it's your mother, she's a woman.
Okay.
What not a mother?
Yeah,
Whatever's
Nisa.
a woman.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I, like I said, this is what I do. Okay, personally, I had this debate for many months with my mom, many months, because she is my mom. She's gonna touch me. She has no restrictions over me. She can do whatever she wants. She can punch me, whatever. She's my mom. You know, she
Hmm.
raised me, and she's a great mom too. So she has. So putting this in front of her was very. I'm telling you guys, this is what happened in my world. Real talk. Really interesting is that Salah becomes very special when we're in the room,
Yeah.
and that shows that women are very special in another. This is not showing women are dirty.
No.
Very important to realize that. This does not mean that, because then the woman can say the same thing for the guy. Oh, I can't touch you. You can have women with you,
Sorry.
You can pray with a woman.
but don't
Okay.
touch her. Yeah, both of
But
them are you are both in a sacred state. And when we get to Hajj eventually at one point, because we're not obviously during the Salah masterclass, but and Hajj, you have a time where you are ihram, or you wa antum hurum, when you are in a state of being haram, like being sacred, not in the sense of being forbidden. Meaning you do have restrictions. You can't. You have a special state when you're in this mode. How they show that in Masjid al-Haram when they do Hajj, you're dressed in white. So that's how they show it, and that's very logical to do something like that. But once you're not dressed like that, you can do certain rules. So there is this concept of being Super Saiyan versus regular in the Quran. You
yeah.
know, you're special versus not normal. So remember, we're in a time where we have sinks, right? Water comes out of the sink and all that, right?
Yeah.
But when this verse was revealed and before this and so on, water was the way you're describing all the time, normal. People don't have access to water like we do nowadays. So the way you did wudu back in the days is exactly what you're saying. They would grab the water, they pour, like you would have you make a little cup in your hand, right? And let's say you take for your right hand and you take your left hand and you pour the water, okay? You have a little tiny gap of water, right? That, and then you put the bottle down, you take that with your two hands, and you have like a little nice little puddle of water in your hand, and that's how you just wash your face there. And then you do the same thing for your hands to your elbows. And then for uh the heads and the feet to the ankles, it's almost the same, but you don't put that much water. You just put a little bit so it just goes all over your hand and do it. So you have a lot of water left. You can have a lot of water still. It's using not that much, but one is showing that there's more water for the other. What this shows is all priority to Allah alone. Yeah, and let's actually add those verses, okay, on a ill journey. So there is, we're gonna get to this, and for 103. Okay, guys, we have more, we have so much stuff to go through in Islam. I'm actually thinking that we might even have to do this one on level 3. So, okay. So we didn't see one thing that's very important. Okay, wa in kuntum junaban. So when you have had an orgasm, fatahharu. Okay, so what is that? So what is fatahharu? So clean yourself, purify yourselves. What does that mean? Okay, you can say, oh, I can wash myself. So what? Or you had a wet dream, your whole body's like dirty, and people say, oh, take a shower. Okay, how do you know that? So now we go to Surah 4, verse 43. Again, this is another one. Yeah, you had amanu la taqrabu salah. Do not approach salah prayer while you are intoxicated. Very interesting verse. First of all, Allah saying that you are allowed to be intoxicated, but not while you are uh, doing salah. And it also tells you hatta, until you know, okay, you know, ta'lamu ma taqulun, that you know what you are saying. Okay, so very huge. So that means, okay, you were intoxicated. What does that mean? This is a deep, interesting verse. Okay, and this is an important condition. So you cannot be doing salah if you're drunk, if you take in other types of substances, and so on. However, if you did drink or whatever, and you have come back to your senses, meaning you actually know what you're saying, you are allowed to do salah. The reason why this is important is because the Sunni world tells us that if you drink alcohol, you cannot pray for 40 days or something like that, or 30 days. I forgot what the number is. They have a special rule for intoxications like that. But however, Allah is saying no, it's just until you know what you are saying. So this is for people that are in low level phases in life, or lower, like, they're still going through the struggles of stuff. I don't know, they're depressed, or they're taking drugs and this and this and that. There's all that types of people in the past. But the point that this rule that I'm telling you guys is important to know, that because it exists. This is a very big topic in the Sunni world, only for those guys that bring it up. But if ever you across this, like, no, bro, if you drank and you want to change now, do it. Because the point is, Allah wants you to because we're going to see that in the purposes later, but one of the main purposes is to remember Allah. So if you're drunk or whatever, or intoxicated, you are forgetting Allah, but then you realize I need to, I remember Allah. You feel like I need to do salah, and they're like, no, I'm not clean, or no, 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 I drank, and no, no, no. Shaitan is getting into you, so you don't do salah. And that's deep. And that's his goal, by the way. And we're gonna see all that later on, anyways. Okay, just wanted to bring this out first. So there are important. So now we get here, over here. So 443. And now we're gonna put 443. Oops, here. It's actually already here. Let's go like this. So there's a rule for don't approach Salah while intoxicated until you know what you are saying. Huge. Okay. Again, guys, remember, everyone's goals here within the next couple of months. You guys are you should be masters of this. Illa yasha Allah. And Allah's gonna bring you people. Trust me. It's always gonna be like, this knowledge you have is not useless. It's the one of the most valuable knowledge ever that's been restricted for a thousand plus years. And now we're being fully instructed, and hopefully one day you guys are gonna instruct this to others. And this is, if Allah told us this, it's gonna happen. Okay, so remember that there's that, and this is where we touch the orgasm verse. So 5 verse 6. Let's go like this. Boom. And oops. Where was it? What am I doing? Oh yeah, right here. Okay. So good. Okay, we're good. Here we go. Okay. And now it says wala junaban. Look how Allah does that. Okay, wa antum sukara hatta ta'lamu ma taqulun wala junaban illa ghabiri. So except and not janaba. Okay, so it's the same, and not the state of orgasm, except those passing through. This is interesting. So that means you are in this state of how do you say it, orgasm. And this is where it gets really interesting. Okay, how Allah wrote this whole entire section right here. Okay, until you washed, or it says hatta taghtasilu. Okay, taghtasilu. Let's just go into the direct one so you guys can see the verb here. Okay, so right here. Okay, so this is the major part here. Let me do F11. Okay, so you can have a bigger view of this section. So this section right here, I'm gonna get out of F11. Let's go back to F5 verse 6. So this is where there's a QTC, guys. And you have to understand, if there's like a special QTC like this, that means there's something really important here. So all of this is important, but there's something even more deeper in all of this. So wa in kuntum junaban fatahharu. So if you are in a state of orgasm and so on, clean yourself. What does that mean? And then it explains here. So not in this, so not being in this state, except you are abiri. It's a very interesting word, right? It's a very interesting word used only uniquely like this. Everywhere else is connected to, as you saw earlier, to ibara, so to lessons, except as abiri sabilin, like a special type of path that you're passing by. So in a special passing path. So meaning, what does that mean? So that means you have had an orgasm, and Allah saying there's an exceptional rule. So you're passing by this condition that you're in, and to basically get clean from this, you have to here, and it finally says تغتسلوا. This is the verb form 8 of this, to do ghusl. Okay, and this is the same verb for washing your face and hands that we saw before, but this is in the form 8. This literally means like a form of bath. So in other words, if you go back here, 5 verse 6, when you're in this state of ejaculation in a guy's sense, and same thing for a woman, the tahiru, so fatahharu, so that you have cleaned yourself, meaning you have taken a shower. I hope I didn't totally confuse you guys, but all to say that when you have this state, you have to take a shower. What does shower mean now? What does that mean to take a shower? Let's say you're waking up from a wet dream, okay? And you wake up, what happens? Your lower part everywhere. So how did people in the back in the days take a shower? They didn't have like we do, so they had like rivers, they had like human old school bath, they had like water buckets, right? And they have another little bucket inside. They take the water and they pour over their body or certain places of their body. That was the old school way of taking a shower. It was like that for the longest time. And now we have like a shower head, professional, clean. This one is actually, if you're lower part of the body, so this is way, so illa abiri sabilin. So it's a very interesting expression. Okay, so let's actually like look how some of them actually say this part. So except those passing through like a place until you have done the wash. Let's look at some of these guys, how they use this. Safe when journeying upon the road. So meaning there's an exception when you're traveling. That's actually cool. That's true. Okay, so let's say that if you have had an an ejaculation, and you're or a wet dream, and so on, and you are abiris sabidin, that's an exception. Illa hatta taghtasilu, until you've done this. This is what you have to do to be back in the state of doing salah, meaning you have to do your wudu, which we're gonna get back. Look at the other people, how they say this. So he doesn't even write it. So under an obligation to perform the bath until traveling on the road. Okay, so there you go. Until traveling on the road, unless you're traveling on the road. That's another way to say it is true. And so they're all pretty much saying the same thing on this. So the point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is very important, is that when you do have junub, orgasms, that particular area it has to be fully washed. That's all this really saying, especially right here. Taqtasidu. But it's important that we have the proof, because the word fatahharu, this just means like to purify. But how do you purify? What does that mean to fully be clean? Is because of this verse here. Okay. And now the next part, وَإِن كُنْتُم مَرْضَىٰ, so same thing as the previous verse. أَوْ عَلَىٰ سَفَرٍ, same thing as the previous verse. أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِّنكُمْ مِنَ الْغَائِطِ, so same thing as the previous verse from the toilet, exactly like 5 verse 6. أَوْ لَمَسْتُمْ النِّسَاء, so same thing as the last verse. Same thing, same exact exception. So this right here is proving that they're interconnected, right? 5 verse 6 and 443. It's exactly the same way to do it. But look how Allah ends here. Inna Allah kana afuwan ghafura. This is huge. So that means if you forgot to do your wudu, or did it wrong, or came to Allah, you accidentally farted, it's afuwan ghafura. Rare attribute, okay? It's rare, okay? So this one right here, so it says here. So this means Allah definitely pushes it. Allah afu. Remember, afu is with shirk. That afu is what takes away shirk, right? That's huge. So that means Allah can easily push this away. And he has been kana afuwan ghafura. He's always been like this. But obviously, guys, we're here to impress Allah, right? We're here to be the best. Right? We want to do it, but just remember, Allah is very. Remember what He says. Remember in this verse, remember He goes, "Ma yuridullah liyaj'ala alaykum min haraj." Allah doesn't want this to be hard for you. Okay, He does not. So that means if things get like, oh man, hana, guys, do your best, but no, but Allah has said He is afuwan ghafura here. Amazing, right? That doesn't mean you can be lazy and skip. Obviously, guys, try to be your best, but it's okay if you make a mistake here. However, it doesn't mean you didn't, Allah like threw it away in the garbage. Of course not, It's Allah's definitely, this is beautiful. So that's why Surah 443, the way He ends it is huge. So you have, Allah is always going to be pardoning. Anyone who's actually getting into this level are normally pretty special, somewhat special, They're at least taking this seriously. Allah, let's just put that here. Allah knows what is in your chest.
Your chest.
Sudur, okay, it's within your chest. All right, guys, we're good. We're on that. Now, questions. What are the main things you need to know here? 2 verses only, okay? And 5 verse 6. Now, what's the tricks? Let's look at the tricks. 5 verse 6, like I said, sequence. It's the only one like that has this instructions here. It's the only one that has the key instruction, okay? This right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's highlight that because the other one does not have this, right? Okay, so number wise, you just engrave this inside your mind. That's good. That's actually a powerful way. Okay, so how would you guys remember 4 verse 43? So I'll give you guys my tricks here. One thing is like, if you know 5, 6, you should know right away that it's right before 5. So that's 4, right? 4, 5, 6. Easy. 4, 5, 6. And then it says 4, 3. What is that? 7. So 4, 5. So 5, 6, 7. There's a little, but you can be confused with, I don't want to write it, but 34, right?
Everything.
4 verse 34, right? This happens. Something you're going to be like, wait, was it 4 verse 34 or verse 43, right? Looks almost the same, right? Surah 4 verse 34 is also a really debated verse, a very huge verse. This verse, is about the hitting of the woman, right? The famous verse where you the situation. Very huge verse. So the men are like the responsible for the woman because they spend the wealth and so on. But then if they're disobedient, it's a huge verse. This is they call it a controversial verse, but there's an explanation behind this, and there's a very logical thing. We're not gonna get into it, but you can easily be confused with this number because it's just the opposite, right? Way of writing it. So just know that the other one, 3, 4, were in order. That one is the one that has those conditions. This is the wudu, the opposite. So at least try to remember both. Okay, just letting you guys know. And they both have almost the same. They both have the same exceptions. Okay, let's go right here. Same exceptions of 5 verse 6. And really, the main thing that you really need to know is just 5 verse 6. But what are the conditions? Like, what are this? And what are the exceptions in conditions? Sorry. And so on. That's all. Okay? 443. Don't forget this. And this is probably going to be the question that I'm going to ask you guys. But it's easy. It's only just 2. Okay? There's 2. Okay? So I guess level 2 wasn't that complicated. Okay, we're gonna have another one to go to. Yeah. Question: where is the tone of voice for Salah? So in Surah 17, there's 111 verses. Okay, so that's the last, but it's not this one. It's the verse just before the last verse. Okay, 110. So let's just first go back here. What verse is the voice? Okay, very important. Tone of voice. So 17. 110 is the answer. What is the tone? Okay, so let's look at the verse. Let's actually keep this, put it here. So first Allah says, call, so this could be call or pray. Okay, it's the dua, same thing. Call or pray to Allah, or awidu'ur Rahman. So Allah uses both names. Beautiful. So ayyama, whichever you're praying to, falahul asma'ul husna. Allah has the most beautiful, best, excellent, amazing, so on, al-husna names. highest level stuff and so on beyond that. So there's a lot of words to understand this word, okay? Okay, boom. Right, first of all, this is important. Why does Allah before he's telling us this amazing rule of the salah, Allah saying right away Allah is number one. Guys, it's all about Allah. Pray. Remember, you're praying to Allah. You're talking to Allah. You're communicating with Allah. Idu'u Allah. Idu'u Rahman. So you're talking, you're communicating. Okay, here we go. And do not recite. Wala tajahar bisalatika. So do not be loud. It doesn't say recite, okay? Do not be loud in your salah. Okay, your salah, so personal. Wala tukhafit biha. And don't be silent. Tukhafit, like hidden, secret. No one hears nothing. Biha, with it. And this is the key word, okay? But seek a way between that. Now you can argue, okay, loud and silent, it's the middle. But what this also means is harmonic. You can be up and down, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, like high, low, like that. You can harmonize the tone in harmony. But obviously, it shouldn't be like only loud. Allah Akbar, Bismillah Rahman. No, bro. What just happened? And there are people that do that. They're like screaming their lungs out. Like, bro, what is wrong with you? And then there's people that are like doing asar in their mind, right? Sunnis, right? No, boom, you cannot do that according to Allah. Boom. But you have to be in a rhythmic tone. So this now connects to middle-ish, but no, in a rhythmic tone. What's the proof of that? Now we get into other important verses here. So now first, before that, we go to here, Surah 2. I know you guys all know this answer, so I'm going to put it right away. Verse 1, 2, 1. Let's see if I got this right. 2. See, Alladina ataynahumul kitab. Perfect, I got it good. Okay. Alladina ataynahumul kitab. Okay, those who have been given the book. Us. Okay? Obviously others before, but in our situation, us. Yatlu. Nah. They recite it. Yatlunahu haqqa tilawati. Okay? Haqqa tilawati. Sorry. They recite it with its true recital. Okay, this is the somewhat of the, like I will say, a good translation. Ulaika yu'minuna bih. They are the ones who believe in it. So in other words, whenever you guys are reciting the words of Allah, which is connected, we're connecting to this, la tajahar bi salatika, do not be loud in your salah, wala tukhafit biha, don't be silent therein. Wabtaghi bayna dhalika sabila. Such a beautiful, like Allah is so gorgeous. Like find a, like not find, like pursue, wabtaghi, like seek, like pursue something that's in between both, between that, like it's in the range. It could be somewhat high depending on where you are, very low depending on the subjects eventually. Why? Okay, we're gonna understand why it's said like this. Okay, first, this means rhythm. Okay, it's obvious. Harmony. 2, 3, this, what we just saw, right here, there's a true recital of the Quran. What is that true recital? And that applies to Salah, which we're gonna see right now. So let's call it the true recital of the Quran. Okay, let's just look at it that way. And what is that true recital? And this, true recital is, let's actually put this with the tone of voice. So 7204. Okay, when وَإِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنِ, when the Quran is being read or recited, okay, when it's being read, you have to فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. You have to really listen. And that's a really nice word, istami'u, okay? It's literally like, what does listening mean? Not hearing. Hearing is listening is two different things. It's similar, but it's very different when you really understand the meaning.
Focus.
Yeah, there's that. And not only that, Allah's even emphasizing here. وَأَنْصِتُوا, and like really pay close attention. But why? Allah said that you may receive mercy. It's the most important thing. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Like such a beautiful, important. You have to get mercy. But this is huge.
Okay.
7204 must listen and pay attention during group salah. Okay, does that make sense? I think this was 32. This was not that. This was 4 or 3. Let's see it. Okay, we can take this one out. Let's go back to here. Okay. So okay, just quick. يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا. Or if you're doing less. Okay. So the point is here. أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. So this is the key verse here. That there is a rhythmic style of the Quran, that there's a rhythmic way of doing it, and this is repeated again in Surah Furqan. Okay, so at the second part here, like basically why wasn't the Quran revealed to him all at once like this? Thus we are here to like strengthen or make it confirmed inside your mind, fu'adak, or your heart-ish. وَرَتَّلْنَاهُ تَرْتِيلًا. And they recited this, the angels, in a very rhythmic tone. So the Quran has a rhythmic tone. Okay, so very important to know the rhythm. This is pretty much done, guys. How did I write this? Rhythmic tone. Okay, voom proof. And oh yeah, so the whole point of all this is, what does all this do? Is a healing. Okay, Quran, right? So the Quran is a healing, and there's other verses for all this, but this is starting to get like deeper into all what I'm trying to say here. So you have Surah 10, I believe, you have Surah 17 again with the healing of the Quran, and Surah, I believe, 16. There's another one. But for now, let's keep it simple. Tone of voice and wudu. Okay, guys?